think the cost of education in United Kingdom is too expensive. Some persons can afford it, some others cannot afford it. But if you are a foreigner and looking to have your education abroad, especially those who are considering master's programs and PhD programs, then these are some alternative countries where you could get high quality education for at an affordable price. Stop looking at the United Kingdom, stop looking at the US, stop looking at Australia, because these places are really expensive. And if you want to go to any of these countries for a master's program or for a PhD self-funded, you will need to actually save up a lot of money. In the UK, for instance, a school that will charge you £14,000 is considered a cheap school, or considered one of the cheaper destinations for your master's degree. There are some other schools in the UK that will charge as high as £27,000 for a 1 year master's program. In the US, you could get schools that will charge you about $22,000 for 1 year, and your master's is going to run for 2 years in most of the United States schools. But these countries I want to discuss with you today, you will realize that some of those destinations you'll be able to pay somewhere around 2,000 euros, and you'll be getting your education. And all of these countries are in Europe and mostly in the European Union. Number one country I want to mention is Austria. Now, if you go to Austria, generally the language spoken in Austria is German. But in terms of education, you will find a number of master's degree programs that are conducted in English. And in fact, beyond the master's degree programs, you're going to find a number of English taught bachelor's degree programs. And then if you talk of the PhDs, you know that you'll find several of them that you can study in English. Then, if you go to Austria as well, you will find tuition fees that are in the range of 1,000 to 2,000 euros. In fact, I've heard of a school in Austria that charges somewhere around 700 euros for tuition. And these are very good schools, and it's within the European Union. So you can basically access all the other countries in the EU as somebody who stays in Austria. The number two destination I want to mention is Norway. Of course, in Norway, the lingua franca is Norwegian, but there are lots of programs that are taught in English, especially if you're looking at engineering, you're looking at most courses, you will find an English option at a master's degree and it's a PhD level in Norway. And just to mention, Norway has a very good economy to the best of my knowledge, and they are one of the biggest energy producers in Europe. Number three, you need to look at Lithuania. Lithuania is a very small country in Europe as well, and of course in the EU. It gets even more interesting in Lithuania because I understand that master's degree students and PhD students can work full time while studying, while doing their program. Recently, I was watching the video of one Nigerian guy who moved to Lithuania sometime, I think in 2019 or so. And he mentioned that before he even moved, while he was still in Nigeria, he already had a job offer to the country, that's in Lithuania. And once he got into the country, he was working full time and then doing his master's program at the same time. If that's not interesting to you, then I don't know what else you are looking for abroad. Then the other country you need to also consider, or I recommend you consider, is Malta. I recommend Malta for their tuition, but somehow I also understand that the cost of living in Malta is high, especially the cost of rent and accommodation. So these are things you need to actually factor in In Malta, bachelor's programs, master's program, you get a number of them in English language. And just a recap on a quick mention of something I seem to have forgotten about Lithuania is that you have several bachelor's degree programs that you can study in English in the same country. So whether you are a bachelor's degree student, you are a master's degree student, a PhD student, just go there, look for the university options that are available, look for your course and see if it is available in English. But at the master's degree level, PhD level, most of these countries, you are going to get English language taught courses in their universities. Now, apart from these ones that I have mentioned, you need to also pay attention to Hungary. I'm not going to list all the universities in these countries and all the courses they offer in English in this video, but maybe in subsequent videos I'm going to be discussing them. But Hungary. And if you are from Nigeria, it becomes more interesting because Nigeria has got a bilateral education agreement with Hungary. So there are students who are sent from Nigeria on a yearly basis to Hungary on federal government scholarship. That scholarship is usually advertised towards the end of the year and is conducted by the Federal Scholarship Board. You will, of course, have to submit your credentials and then you will be invited for an exam. Generally, the exam is more like an aptitude tests kind of exam, mostly verbal reasoning, quantitative reasoning kind of thing, and more or less general knowledge, but not a difficult exam. I went to my bachelor's and my master's were under the same scholarship, but somewhere in Russia. Then, apart from Hungary, you need to also pay attention to countries like Italy. You need to pay attention to countries like Netherlands. You need to look at Denmark. And you need to also, before I forget, look at Germany itself. Germany is the biggest economy in Europe. The economy of Germany is bigger than the economy of the United Kingdom itself. And if you have seen anything BMW, Mercedes, Benz, Volkswagen, and you loved any of them, then just know that those are German products. And German is generally the language of instruction in most schools, but you are going to find several English taught courses at master's degree and PhD levels. I know a number of persons who have studied in Germany for their masters, who are doing PhD. I know someone who is doing PhD in Germany, and most of these courses are taught in English, ranging from engineering, business related courses, in fact, different kinds of courses. And if you choose to consider Germany, then also look at DAAD. DAAD is spelled DAAD. It's a scholarship scheme that Germany has and sponsors master's degrees and PhDs, from several countries of the world in Germany. So if you want to consider Germany, look at DAAD. There are several options. Apply and then just go through the process, and if you are lucky to win it, then just go over there. So in summary, you should look at Austria, look at Norway, look at Lithuania, look at Hungary, even Poland, look at Germany, Italy, Denmark, Netherlands, and look at Malta, and look at the Oga Patapata of them all, Germany. You will find a course within your budget from at least one of these countries. Stop waiting to save up before you come to the UK. Stop waiting to save up in order to go to the US. Stop waiting to save up in order to go to Australia. Instead of the money you spend on a master's program in the UK should be sufficient to sponsor yourself and maybe a family member in countries like Lithuania. And the quality of education is good. In fact, I omitted Finland. Finland is a very good place as well. Calm, quiet. At a bachelor's level, you find a few courses, especially in business and IT related courses that are offered in English. At the master's degree level, you have more options that are taught in English. And then these are places that these are countries that you will find really very good scholarship, really very good education in, and some scholarships as well. In fact, in Lithuania, there are scholarship options that where a student is performing very well, and then the government, or I think the government or the school, just decides to waive the students' tuition. So take time, dig into these countries, and let me know what your findings are. And if you begin to have challenges with any of them, then just you can send a message, and as much as possible, I'll be able to help. I've not lived in any of the countries I mentioned. Recommend. I've lived in Russia. I've lived, and I currently live in the UK. But I know from my research that these countries are really, really affordable to study in. So I wish you well, and do have a very productive week. If you find this video interesting, just share it. And if you find anyone who is interested in any of these places, invite them to follow this page, because we discuss scholarships and we discuss opportunities. There is something that I intend to do for all of you who have got admission and who have won scholarships and are planning to travel to different countries of the world. I think we need to run a program that is going to detail how you should prepare and the best things to do in order to settle in very quickly. For now, goodbye, and have a great week. Bye bye.